Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified Zentangle teacher. Welcome to episode 6 of my Coastal Calm series. Today I have my little Coastal Calm sketchbook, my Micron 05 pen, a graphite pencil. I'm using a Q-tip as my blending tool. And then I have a 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece of watercolor paper that I cut out to make little square tiles. Okay, today we're going to do 2 different tangles with similar names. The first one is Urchin by Trisha Long. The next one is Sea Urchin by Loretta Botticini, I think. Okay, so you get 2 for 1 today. I'm gonna put these aside. I'm gonna grab my pen and open up my little book, and let's take a quick review of what we've learned so far. This one was whirls on day 1, Arium on day 2, beach buck, sea. That was our little compilation, and then we added in sundrop on day 5. So many fun beachy tangles so far. Okay, I'm gonna write in here episode 6 and 2 similar named tangles, Urchin, Trisha Long, and Sea Urchin. I don't think either of them are certified Zentangle teachers. I think they're just creative people who made these tangles. Okay, so 2 different names. I've mentioned throughout these videos in this particular series that the typical Zentangle method of drawing is non-representational, but then there are many tangles that other people have created that look like specific things, but are also not a doodle. Like if I was to teach you how to draw a sea urchin, like one that really looks similar to what's in an ocean, it would have a lot of detail, a lot of little dots and bumps and shading. So these are still just like easy things to draw, but that happen to look or resemble the shape of a sea urchin. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the first one, Ur-chen, starts with a circle and then a spiral at the top of the circle. So I'm going to make my circle like that. And then where we stopped here, we're going to continue just in this top portion and give it a little curl. From there, we're going to do a series of curves, and I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to curve kind of up. And by curving it, it really makes it look rounded. But now I want to switch my curves so it looks rounded on this side as well. So I'm switching my curves. Then I'm going to stop about there. So if you were to look at a real sea urchin in the ocean or on the beach, when you look down at it, it's very bumpy. It's got a lot of texture to it. So when she created this repeatable tangle pattern, she added these little bumps where the lines end on the outside. And they can be circles or they can be little ovals. But that gives that detail of it looking kind of bumpy. So I really like that. And that is it. That is Urchin. So if you want to make another one, like bumping into it, and at the top, give it a spiral. Put in those bumping up curves. And then the opposite way. And that's it. Okay, this one, sea urchin, again, it's two people looking at a similar thing and coming up with a really like simplistic version of it. So this one is kind of fun. This one is simply the letter C, but then we curve it into a spiral. So I'm gonna go like this and give it a curl. And now we want to imagine, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Want to imagine there's a dot in the center, and these little spikes are going to come out of just this outer layer. So here's a dot in the center. We're going to go out. Here's a dot. And just thinking about that center helps us know what direction to make these little lines. Does that make sense? If I'm always imagining this line coming out from the middle, and then I stop. That is sea urchin, a much simplified version of looking at a sea urchin. Isn't it so pretty? So if we were to do more of these, we could do a backwards spiral or just the opposite direction. And then again, you imagine coming off of a middle point and out. And these can be as large or as small as you want. The first one was about the width of the end of my pen. This one I made a little bit larger. Both really fun, both very different, so I thought it'd be fun to just combine them today. Okay, I'm gonna grab my little square. I already wrote the names of the two tangles and the artists. And I'm gonna flip this over and start drawing. I'm gonna begin with my pencil. And I want you to put, adjust my camera a little bit here, a dot in each of the four corners. And then connect those dots. That creates a pretty little frame for our tangles to be inside of. And it's up to you how you want to put this together. So I'm going to make a little pile of the first one, Urchin, down here, and then I think I'm going to fill in kind of the background with sea urchin. But you could do it completely different. You could do urchin around the whole outside and then just do the middle with some sea urchin, or you could use, both of them. It's up to you. But I think I'm just going to make a little pile of the first one and then add some. So I'm going to switch to my pen for this part. And I'm going to let mine go over the edge a little bit, but not over the bottom edge. That's just my preference, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to make a circle over here. I did mine a little less than half of the paper. And then I'm just going to take the top and give a curl in any direction. And then start those little bumps. Make sure you give them a curve. That's going to make that whole thing look like it has some dimension to it. And then we do the curves in the opposite direction. And we add those little tiny bumps. Okay, I'm going to do another one. I think I'm going to go bigger this time, just so we've got something nice and large here in the middle. And it's going to tuck in behind the back. Give that top portion a curl. And do your bumps and imagine where they would come out to the other side after they bump into a previous one. So right here, I just lifted my pen and came out down here. We add the little bumps. Those just make the whole thing look so textured. All right, I'm going to put another one down here, and I really want to use up the rest of this corner. So I'm going to make sure it's big enough to reach the bottom and the side. And you can do that in pencil first if it's a little bit easier for you. Give that little curly Q on top. And then the bumps. So I've mentioned before that with this Coastal Calm series, like I just want to kind of imagine being at the beach, and I've never seen the shell of a sea urchin on a beach, but like you can just imagine walking down the beach and seeing this little pile of seashells. And doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult, seashells are magical. Their shapes, their colors, their textures, it's just amazing. We should all live by beaches. Okay, I've got my first 3 done. I do want to put in a few more before I add the other pattern. So I'm going to put one over here. I'm going to let it bump out the side. Those little lines feel like a beach ball to me until I add the little bumps on the outside. And I'm going to add one over here. I always feel like it's easier after you make the first 1 or 2, then your brain kind of can tell your hand where to go without having to think about it. It kind of learns that rhythm. Okay, I'm going to add some sea urchin now, and those are the spirals. If you make them really tiny, they'll be a a beautiful, adorable or beautiful, but you're gonna need to make a ton of them. So don't be afraid to go large. So I'm gonna start right here, like that. And then I imagine there's a little dot in the middle, and it's going to direct my lines coming out. And then just start putting these wherever you want. I love the little spikes on these. I'm going to do at least one more over here, and then I'm going to do some shading. All right, how are yours coming along? All right, I'm going to ink in my frame, but when I come to one of these little spirals, I'm just gonna lift my pen, jump over it, and come out the other side. Okay, as with any of these tangles, you can embellish as you wish. So on these little sea urchins, if you wanted to put like some little polka dots coming down some of them, you could, kind of looking like that texture, the patterns that come down them. Or you could put in some little, let's see, I'm just gonna do it just because as long as I'm telling you about it. But you could put in some, other little patterns. You don't have to, but you sure can. All right, I'm going to initial mine, and then I'm going to do my shading. Okay, I'm going to do every individual urchin down on the bottom first, and I'm going to go around the outside edge. I know it kind of covers up those little rounded pieces, but that's okay. And then I'm going to go around this outside edge of my spiral. And then I'm going to soften and push this out. And I'm going to soften and push this out into the shell a little bit. And it gives it this I think I'm going to put this into the bottom a little. Yeah, okay. And then this white part looks like it's closest to the light, and then the little shadowed parts look like they're kind of dipping away. And it gives that three-dimensional feeling. Okay, this one right here, I'm going to go along the outside and along the outside of the spiral. I'm going to put a little bit in the bottom here as well. See how these are starting to kind of pop off the page. Go on the outside of this one, the outside of the spiral. Everything behind it looks flat, and then these look thicker. I feel like I want a little bit more graphite on this bottom part to sort of show that it's tucking under a little bit, like it's rounding itself out. That looks better to me. Okay, I have 2 more of these guys to do, and look at how flat they look compared to this one. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add my graphite to both of them right now. And I'm going to give a little bit in the bottom of each of them. Okay, there we go. Love it. Okay, and for sea urchin, I'm going to go on the outside edge of the whole spiral. And I'm just going to go ahead and do every one of them. So you're going on that outside edge where the little lines come in. That means when you shade it, you want to keep that pencil on the outside. Look at how it makes those pop just a little bit. Using the side of my little Q-tip here because it's softer. And then I'm going to go on the inside edge of my frame just like I have on the other ones. It just kind of keeps that consistent look of the background having a little bit of darkness in the ocean maybe. So pretty. If you want to give an effect of water, you could always put in some little waves. You don't have to, but maybe you have more background than you planned on. So you can do that. And look at all of a sudden it looks like we're at the beach. All right, that was Urchin and Sea Urchin, episode 6. I hope that you liked it. If you want to watch these commercial free, you can join my Patreon. It is $5 a month, but you get all of my future videos. I haven't finished uploading my past videos, but everything for Coastal Calm and May Florals will be on there, and you can watch for free on Patreon. The link is below in the description of this video. You can also follow me on Facebook at Let's Tangle to share your work every Sunday and see what everybody else is doing. So thank you for being here. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.